Superclass is the class from where a subclass inherits the feature. That means from the existing class, the subclass can able to acquire the features. Suppose if I want to acquire the features of base class in my child class, then I'm going to use the word extends. When I have one parent and one child relationship, then it is called single level inheritance. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my second unit, and the chapter name here is Inheritance and Polymorphism. I am your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in my second unit, I am going to discuss what is inheritance and what is the need of inheritance. Along with that, the certain terms used in inheritance and syntax of Java inheritance. Along with that, I am going to deal with types of inheritance. So dear student, these are the certain topic I am going to deal in my today's session. And this topic is very important, and you can expect one sure question under this topic. Now, let's see what is inheritance. Inheriting in the sense what? I'm going to include the features. Now, dear student, think that I want to write a program. Think that I want to print a number 1 to 5. Okay, I want to print a 1 to 5. So, instead of writing same code, that is 1 to 5, what I will do, I can able to use the existing thing. In the sense, first what I will do, I'm going to write the code for this and I'm going to make use this one in my program. So, what is the meaning? I'm going to use the existing code in my program. In the sense, I'm going to inherit the code. Similarly, if I consider inheritance, I can able to use existing class in my new class. In the sense, I can able to use the features as well as properties of existing class in my new class. And what is inheritance? That is nothing but the reusability. So, instead of writing same thing again and again, what I will do, I'm going to use the existing thing in my program. So, inheritance in Java is a mechanism in which one object. So, dear student, it is Java programming language and everything is treated as classes and objects in Java. So, what is inheritance? It is a mechanism in which one object can acquire the property as well as behavior of a parent class. So, what is property here? That is nothing but the data members as well as member function. So, what is inheritance? It's nothing but the ability to acquire the properties of existing class in my new class. It is an important part of OOPS, that is object oriented programming system, and inheritance represents the is a relationship which is also known as parent-child relationship. So, dear student, as I discussed, I am going to acquire the property of existing class. So, dear student, this existing class is nothing but the parent class. Okay, and the new class is known as derived class. Okay, now this is my parent and this is my child. So, what kind of relationship? That is nothing but there is a relationship between existing class as well as new class. So why I want inheritance? Because to reuse the existing properties, I'm going to have the inheritance. Then what is the advantage? It is very easy to write the program. It is very easy to debug and it saves the time. Why it saves the time? Because I don't want to write the same code again and again. So what can I do? What's the solution? I can able to reuse the existing properties. These are the certain advantages of inheritance. Now, the term used in inheritance. So, what are the things or what are the term I'm going to encounter while I'm going to deal with inheritance? That is class, then subclass, superclass. So what is a class? A class is a way used to group the object. So a class is a group of objects which have common properties. And class is nothing but a blueprint, or it's nothing but a template from which objects are created. In the sense, a class is nothing but a blueprint or template. From the class, I'm going to create the object. And what are the term I'm going to encounter here? That is subclass and superclass. So subclass is nothing but the child class, whereas superclass is nothing but the parent class. And this subclass is known as new class. So subclass is a class which inherits the other class. So here subclass is a class which is going to inherit the feature, and it's also called derived class. And to derive the class, I'm going to use the keyword extends. For that reason, it is called extended class or child class. Then what about parent class? So dear student, here parent class or superclass is also known as base class. So here superclass is the class that is known as existing class. So superclass is the class from where a subclass inherits the feature. That means from the existing class, the subclass can able to acquire the features, and the existing class itself called parent class, and it's also called base class or it's also called parent class. Now, dear student, I'm going to discuss the syntax, how I can able to define the inheritance. So, dear students, see here, I have the class and I want to specify the subclass name, and extends as a keyword. It's a keyword used to achieve inheritance. In the sense, suppose if I want to acquire the features of base class in my child class, then I'm going to use the word extends, and this is my superclass name. And inside this, I can have the methods as well as fields. Now, dear student, let me to write the simple example here. Think that I have a class called A. Okay, what is my class name? A. And this is my parent class, or this is my superclass, and it's going to have data members as well as member function. Now, I'm going to have a class called B, and this class want to use the methods as well as data members which is present in class A. So what I will do? I'm going to extend the class. So class B extends A, in the sense I'm going to acquire the features as well as properties of class A. So, the extends keyword indicates that you are making a new class that derives from the existing class. So, the meaning of extends is to increase the functionality. So, what's the meaning of extends? That's nothing but the increasing the functionality. So, dear student, now I'm going to have the type of inheritance. So, dear student, if I consider this diagram, see here, I have single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. So, there are 5 different types of inheritance supported by the Java programming language. And see here, what is my first type? It is single. Single in the sense what? I have a parent, and for that parent, one child. Okay, this is my parent and this is my child. So, I can able to consider this is dad, and from dad, son. Okay. So, what is the meaning? This son can able to acquire all the properties which is belongs to the dad. Okay. So, one superclass or one parent and one child or one subclass. So, it is called single inheritance. And multi-level. Okay, see here, this is class A, class B and class C. And this is my intermediate class. And if I consider the hierarchy, grandfather, father and child is the best example for multi-level inheritance. So, dear student, this is nothing but the grandfather, and this is nothing but the father, and this is nothing but the son. Now, if I consider this son can able to acquire the properties of father as well as grandfather, because this father can have all the properties of his father. So, this son can able to acquire all the properties of father as well as grandfather. Now, hierarchical. See here, this is my father. So, this is my superclass. For this superclass, I have 2 subclass. So, here, if this is dad, and for this dad, we'll have 2 sons. So, this is son 1 and this is nothing but the son 2. Okay, for the single superclass, I can have more than 2 subclass. In the sense, 2 subclass is going to acquire the properties of superclass, and that is known as hierarchical inheritance. Now, dear student, I have another type of inheritance, that is multiple inheritance. And dear student, in Java does not support multiple inheritance. To achieve multiple inheritance, I am going to have the concept called interface. Anyway, dear student, we are going to study in depth about an interface in my upcoming sessions. But at present, you just remember that we have a type, that is multiple inheritance. And what is multiple inheritance? I am going to have the 2 parents. For example, if this is my dad and this is my mom. And for dad and mom, only one son or only one daughter. In the sense, this child class can able to acquire the properties of parent class A and parent class B. And Java does not support multiple inheritance. And to achieve multiple inheritance, I'm going to have the concept called interface. And dear student, I'm going to have another type of inheritance, that is hybrid inheritance. And see here, this is my intermediate class. Okay, for example, think that this is my child class, then this is nothing but my dad, mom and grandfather. Okay, and if I consider this much, okay, this is the example for hierarchical. Okay, this is the example for hierarchical. And if I consider below this, okay, this is the example for multiple. Then what is hybrid inheritance? Hybrid inheritance is nothing but the combination of hierarchical inheritance as well as multiple inheritance. So I have grandfather and mom and dad, and for this mom and dad, one child. Okay, this is the example for hybrid inheritance. Anyway, dear student, there are 5 types of inheritance: single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical as well as hybrid. Now, let me to discuss what a single inheritance. So, dear student, when I have one parent and one child relationship, then it is called single level inheritance. So, when a class inherits another class, it is known as single inheritance. For example, think that parent 1 will have one child. Okay, now this child can able to have all the properties of parent. Okay, so single in the sense one parent and one child. There's nothing but the one superclass and one subclass. So superclass is nothing but the parent class, whereas subclass is nothing but the child class or derived class. Then what is the syntax? So syntax, I want to start with the class keyword and I want to specify the class name, that's nothing but the super. Now, within this super, I'm going to have the methods as well as the data members. Now, I want to extend this superclass in my subclass. So, class, subclass name, extends keyword and superclass name, and this subclass can have its own data members as well as fields. Now, dear student, I'm going to have this simple program to illustrate single level inheritance. So, what is my class name? That's nothing but the calculation. And inside this, I'm going to have the method called addition, and this is the example for parameterized method, and it's going to accept 2 parameters x and y. Okay, and this method is responsible for performing addition operation. At the same time, it's going to display the output. Now, inside this class, once again, I'm going to have the method called subtraction, and this is also example for parameterized method, and this method is responsible for accept x and y and perform subtraction operation and print the difference. Okay, now see here, this is the end of the class. So this is my parent class. So what is this? This is my parent class or superclass. Now see here, I'm going to extend this calculator class in my another new class, that is my calculation. And what is my existing class? The existing class name is calculation. So this is my existing class and this is my new class. This is my new class. Okay, inside this new class, I have a method called multiplication and I'm going to perform the multiplication of two numbers and I'm going to print the output. Now, within same class, I have a method called main method and the actual execution of the program is going to start from the main method and I'm going to create the object of the class. See, in which class I'm going to create the object? To the subclass. To the subclass, I'm going to create the object. By using this object, I can able to access the data members as well as methods which is present in my superclass because it's already inherited. So here, what is my class name? That is nothing but the subclass name, my calculation. So it is my calculation. Then demo is nothing but the object and new is a operator and see my calculation. Now with the help of this object, I'm going to call the method addition, I'm going to call the method subtraction and I'm going to call the method multiplication. So here demo.addition, demo.subtraction, demo.multiplication. So dear student, this is the way I can able to use the inheritance in my program. Anyway, dear student, in my today's session, I started with what is an inheritance, how to inherit and what are the advantages of inheritance and the different types of inheritance supported by the Java programming language. In my next session, I'm going to deal with overriding methods. In that, I'm going to deal with polymorphism. Then I'm going to deal with upcasting, generics in Java. Along with that, I'm going to deal with typecasting. In that, I'm going to deal with downcasting. So dear student, these are the certain topic I'm going to deal in my next session. Anyway, dear student, let's meet in the next session with the new topic, that is overriding as well as polymorphism. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.